Here today, I wanted to attempt and do another deconstruction of one of the Ugandan hits from the year 2019, I believe. Um, it's a song by VINKA, and the title is Love Doctor. And quite a few things interest me on this one. First of all, when I plot out the arrangement just for visual purposes, um, I want to point your attention to the space intentionally left, the one bit space intentionally left in between the sections of the song. Uh, the intro into the first verse, it joins completely, but going from the chorus, rather from verse 1 into the chorus, there is a beat that is left empty, a space, a breathing space. Same going from the chorus back to the verse, and from the verse back to the chorus, and so on throughout the song. The format, the song structure is intro, verse, chorus, and from on there it is verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And what worked as the outro in this case was just a repeated chorus to climax and finally end the song. So I had to start out by plotting the elements in the intro, and that was just a vocal sample that I manipulated to fit uh, and work exactly to my needs. Uh, I plotted out the MIDI notes already and put the sample in the sampler. Uh, what I want to point your attention to is the way I manipulated the envelopes, the attack, decay, sustain, and release of the sample, the amplitude envelope. I rarely, in this case, didn't touch the pitch envelope at all. Uh, However, I transposed this sample by a half step because, as it happened, the song is in the key of B flat, and this sample was in the key of B, I believe. So to make it match, I had to transpose it a bit, and I used the filter to trim off the low end of the sample, and this is how it sounds. When the song starts, it's just this vocal element with a kick playing, and the intro altogether sounds like, and that is 4 bars of this uh, vocal sample and the kick going. Um, to get that delay you hear, I just send the track into a return track or a bus. Uh, and there is a bit of delay there. My delay setting is set to the 4th division, and it is a stereo delay. I am not filtering. It's just a simple delay with a bit of feedback and the mix all the way. And that gave me the intro. Things begin to get more and more, to build up. The vocal comes in around the 3rd bar through the intro, and to create a drop or a build up, what they did on the song is at exactly the 5th bar, they introduced the rest of the drum elements, the bass, and into bar 6, some horns. Let's listen to that before I go into starting at bar 4 after the intro, or let me just play halfway through the intro. Okay, and that is halfway through the verse it was. Here, I'm going to change up the sample, the acrostic, or the rim shot. It sounds a bit too aggressive. Better. I also want to change up the sample on my hi-hat. And make it fade in a bit, to be a bit too obvious. And give it a fade out. And I need to make it tighter. At this point, I'm going to change modes and go into my amplitude envelopes and see the release is all the way up. I'm just going to reduce it a bit. I'm also going to mess with the system. Right, I kind of like this hi-hat now. Right here after the sampler, I'm going to, or inside the sampler, I'm going to add a stock reverb. And I'm going to use an EQ and just shave off a bit. Yeah, better, maybe a little bit of this filter. All right, so as you can tell already, this was the drop coming in from the intro. Got it good. So yep, into the horns. The horns are also so quite straightforward today. Just a sample messing with the amplitude envelope. I have a trombone sample and a trumpet sample, and just the two together sound like this. They sound like that. I wanted to keep them a bit more realistic and, you know, relatable to live sound. I'm using 3 bass instances. One is actually 2 of them are wavetables, and the other relies on the operator in Ableton. The key to the bass and how it was programmed was in the lengths of notes and the amplitude envelopes, really. Let's just play through with one of the basses on operator bass. And right there, this operator bass for me, it was good, but it needed another layer to act as a, you know, even more beefy sub. So I added a wavetable and a preset called a talking 808 bass. To this, mapped out exactly the same MIDI notes and together. So I also automated a bit of distortion. So it starts out without a distortion, and it gives it more body, more low end energy, together with a kick and other elements. And took it off to create space, you know, because this was a drop. And, 'cause this was a drop. space. All right, and the pianos are quite straightforward. In the mix down, they make them a bit lower and make the vocals sit on top. After that, we got the horns down, we have the basses down. The next build up was in the second half of the first verse, where the keys come in and a bit of an EP. Really, these were fillers I could hear in the background of the music. They were not main elements at all. They were just put there to, create body and build up into the next section. And at this point, the drums go out to create space, suspense, and build up into the next section. 2, 3, 4. And at that point, I introduce a third kind of bass, which is also made with a wavetable. And this time I use the basic wave shapes, a shape called the sub one. I use a warping algorithm, the modern warping algorithm. I warp it at a -14 and fold it at 20%. First, I played this in mono, but it was, sorry, let's play it here. It was, not as spread, it was too central. So I decided to give it 2 voices and leave it as a polyphonic. Actually, leave it at 2, polyphonic voices, and change the unison algorithm to classic and increase the voices to 5. Yes, I know. First I said for polyphonic, and it has polyphonic points to the number of notes this plugin is going to play, and I know I'm playing 1 note. However, when you set your unison mode or algorithm, you can increase the number of voices. So I know it's 1 note, but it will output in 5 voices stacked on top of each other, which gives me a more spread sound. That is it. If I increase it to 5, it gets more layers. And here I can increase the amount of how much, these other voices affect the main sound. So currently it was at 30%. If we put it at 100, and let me just isolate this sound a bit. See, let's reduce it back to 30. See, reduce the voices again. See, if I put it in mono, and that is the effect I was going for, to make it feel like it's an 808 bass, but not a pure 808. It leans, between being an 808 and a normal bass. All right. So this second bass provides contrast from this part, the first half of the verse, where the bass sounds like this. These are the basses in the first half of the verse. I put a distortion to make it even more beefy and sappy. And in the second part, to create a contrast, long notes, very low, short notes, that contrast. And when these couple up with the drums and other elements of the song, it's what makes the song pop and make you want to dance. Also, if you're writing bass lines for this kind of music, I need you to pay attention to how the basses are programmed. There is no bass note playing on the downbeat, so it gives it a, like the bass is responding to something. It's almost a question and answer bass. Right. So after getting that contrast, well done, quite straight sounds of piano, and here I used addictive keys. Here I used addictive keys plugin, and the same in the addictive keys, I made sure to adjust my amplitude envelopes. And there is pay attention to the space left in between here. This is where the vocal starts to sing the chorus actually. It's the vocal that bridges this gap, that leads into, it's like the vocal steps in, it has a pickup beat or measure, and then the instrumentation follows. Down here, they added 2 more elements, bell-like kind of sounds, which I used samples to recreate. Yes, those are the bells. Very subtle in the background, and they introduced a bit of plucks here. I used a guitar sample to recreate these, and this is how they sound. You can just hear them if I solo them. So they are not playing the entire progression, it's just vamping on, crucial points to make the rhythm even more interesting. And right here, notice there is a discrepancy in the MIDI. Yep. So that is corrected. And now, so far, if you listen from the start of the song, we have a whole structure building up, and it's turning out to be good, with building up to the next verse. We have our last beat, rather piece of the puzzle I added in to make the song even fuller from what I hear on the records. They used some sort of muffled guitar sample for this lick here. I just got my guitar and played it twice, layered it, and put reverb on it. And I used the Waves guitar tool rack. I used the Waves guitar tool rack, played through that. After the waves, I put an EQ and then a reverb that is also filtered and has a little bit of chorus, set my pre-delay, dry wet, and reflection amounts. And this guitar, the only difference in the way I play it is I play the first one at a different part of the neck. The first one, and the second one, I play at a different part of the neck to get a nice effect. So when I combine both of them together, we get this nice and these guitars here, I've only aligned the start point. If you listen closely, they are not all the notes are not chorused in sync. You can hear some notes clashing, and I left that on purpose. It creates this kind of attention-grabbing, natural. It's not a machine-played lick, rather more human. So you add human elements. And with that, I had the fundamental structure of the song down. And the rest from this point on is to listen to the little additions the producer makes on the record, create movement and variety and dynamics. Otherwise, the song is very vocal dominated, and in this type of music, as pointed out in the earlier video, it is bass mostly. The important parts are the bass and the drums and the little fillers, the bells and plucks here and there, guitar licks, and if you have a piano sound, which is very rare, but on this record there is a piano playing very soft in the background. It's all done. On the second chorus, though, the second chorus is a bit longer than the first chorus. However, the elements are the same and the progression is the same as the first chorus. And all you have to do is copy paste and adjust. The only new element they introduce on the second chorus is the fact that the plucks accent or vamp kind of syncopated rhythms. Let's listen to the second chorus. Yes, that is the new element. Besides the syncopation of the plucks, the other new element is the cymbal sound you hear breaking it off here. That sound. And there you have former hit song from VINKA.